My name is Mike Mullen, and this is a setup I have for my zebrafish breeding in my embryology unit as part of the SEPA program. Now what I have is I have 3 tanks set up. The first tank, what I did is I separated and put all the males in this tank. The second tank, I separated out all the females. This is just one way of doing this. You can put the males and females together, but I found it easier to separate the males and the females. Now this empty tank, I have this primarily because I was cleaning it, but this empty tank is what I use for breeding. So what I would do is I would set up the tanks, let them run for 5 or 6 weeks at the proper light cycles, proper feeding, daily feedings, and then just get the fish ready for the breeding cycle. And then when I was ready to breed the fish, what I would do is I'd take one of these breeding chambers, filter on the bottom, and I would pull the right ratio of males and females out. I'd put them in here the night before, and then I'd insert them right into this tank. And this tank is full of water, and the advantage to that is that the fish stay at the right temperature. Now what I found success with is only doing this with about 6 fish at a time. Too many fish and you wouldn't get the eggs you need. But if you have around 6 fish in one of these breeding chambers at a time, I had a lot of luck. Now the second thing I would do is I would put my light on top of here. And then these fish are all ready to breed. So in the morning when the light comes on, then the fish would mate, fertilize the eggs, lay the eggs, and then what I could do is just simply take the light off. I would take the breeding chamber out. I could separate the fish back into their tanks, and then I would have the eggs in here. Now, once I have the eggs, and I have the eggs in the chamber, and what I would do is you have to handle these pretty carefully. You'll bruise and damage the eggs. So what I would do is I could extract the eggs using my pipettes. I could extract the eggs, and then I could put them in this chamber here. And what this allowed me to do is I found that by tilting this, it goes like this, by tilting this I could acquire the eggs nice and easily. If you're using an incubator, a water incubator, the other nice thing about this is that these would also float on the water, and you could incubate your eggs that way. Depending on if I was doing the lab right away that day, which obviously you would be because the eggs would be aging, my falcon dishes, what I did is I'd have the students number the falcon dishes, each compartment, and then I could run one of the tests or a couple of the tests based on concentrations. So I had the students label the wells of the falcon dish, and then also label them according to concentration. And the students got really good at this. What we did is that we did the temperature test first, and I used that as a way to reduce the fumble factor a little bit. We did the temperature test, and then the students set up the falcon dishes, set up the wells, and then after we got experience with the temperature test, then they went on and they did the other chemical tests like ethanol and nicotine and so forth. So the temperature test was a nice way to get them experience with their lab technique and working with the eggs. So I had the falcon dishes set up like that, and the students would label them, and that eliminated a little bit of the error in terms of getting the right number of eggs into the right number of dishes. These are 2 of the incubators that I used while doing the zebrafish experiments. This first water incubator worked pretty well. What I would do is I would put the right amount of water in the bottom, and then I'd put a rubber band on the falcon dishes, and I would just float these in here. Now the problem I experienced is that the lid didn't seal well, so it was tough to maintain the temperature. So if this is your only possibility, then it'll work, but I wasn't crazy about that incubator for this project. So what I did is I went to this type of incubator, and the nice thing about this was I could control the temperature well, and I could put lots and lots of falcon dishes in here. There was the humidity levels were fine. Obviously the falcon dishes, the embryos are already in water. Humidity levels were fine, but this type of incubator just worked really well for this experiment. On the other hand, the water bath also limited the number of falcon dishes because you can only put so many on the surface, but that particular one worked okay if you only have a few and that's all that you have. But in terms of incubating the eggs, I much prefer this.